To the podcast, hablemos de lo nuevo. For the G's, by the G's, que pasa en el terreno. Vienen jugadores y se van, traiga lo nuevo. A huevo. Doesn't matter where you from. Salvador, Mexico, Honduras, Nicaragua. Todo mi latino, come and listen for an hour. TikTok, que traemos lo que quiere. Todo lo que pasa dentro y fuera de las redes. Really? You don't know what it is. Reportamos con la lupa what we see at the digs. En las buenas y en las malas yo diré la verdad. Si cometen un error o tienen habilidad, la calidad del rival cuando viene a jugar. Facts. Yo no me muerdo la lengua. Got love for the crest in the city I came from. Los campeones de campeones y con copas mi race. No empezamos el programa, soy la voz de LA One. Soy la voz de LA One. Love. Yeah.
Hello, hola, and buenas, and welcome back to another episode of La Cuna Galaxiana, a podcast always made with love for all you LA Galaxy fans out there, wherever you may be. Thank you so much for hanging out with us once again as us two knuckleheads break down everything going down in LA Galaxy Land. And today, there's panic in Galaxylandia once again as a fan favorite might be out the door. As Dejan Joveljic to Tigres gets closer, we take a look at all the developments, what a sell might mean for the Galaxy, and what the plan might be for LA after the Serbian striker's departure. Is the reported fee enough to justify selling him? We'll bring you news also on a new arrival as Lucas Sanabria is now official. Welcome to LA to the young Uruguayan. Plus, Cobi Jones will soon live forever in Legends Plaza. Let me introduce myself. My name is Rob Halone, and you can find my written work at Extra Time Talk and the Sporting Tribune, and you can find me online at El Escudero de LA. And once again with me is my co-host, El Yerno Guapo y El Gitano Perdido y El Papá de Natita, Ananda Kirana. Papa, there's a lot happening. I guess we're going to try to keep up, right?
I mean, yeah, all of that, plus all the tournament news, people getting new jersey numbers. There's a lot going on, Papa. Like, good thing we started, messing up everyone's Thursday nights again, and we're back on this Monday, Thursday grind. So, guys, yeah, you can enjoy us now to the main pod 2 days a week, and of course, we're gonna try to sprinkle in some extra content throughout this year. We always try to, one up. This is season 3. You guys haven't canceled us, so we got to deliver for y'all.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't gotten canceled. I mean, really, like I said at the top of the show, I mean, two knuckleheads that just come together and talk about soccer, and you guys have been more than lovely and helping us thrive and being in this chat and showing us what's up and talking about all the good food in chat and, hanging out with us. And so thank you so much. Like Ananda said, season 3, and man, it's amazing to be here. I mean, we are almost to 450 subs, and with your help, we're going to get to 500 before the season starts. So for everybody that's in chat, because Ananda tells me that 1/3 of you guys listening to the show do not subscribe, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You guys know where it is. Hit that red subscribe button. Very, very easy. Hit that notification bell. Hit that like. And if you do subscribe, then I promise when you see Ananda, he'll do a special dance for you. So anyway, guys, we have told you about our Horchata Fund right now. And in lieu of that, please keep donating to wildfire relief efforts. Los Angeles is still hurting, guys. There are still people out there without homes, without running water, without a place to stay, without just the bare essentials. So go ahead and keep remembering your fellow Angelinos right now. It's still a critical time, man. I mean, yesterday, Ananda, I checked, and Palisades was blessedly at 97% contained, but that still means that damn thing is still going a little bit, right? So
it's crazy,
guys. Remember your fellow Angelinos, and sidebar, with everything that's going on in the world right now, just a reminder: be good to each other, be kind, show each other that Angelinos are, the cream of the crop. the best folks in the world, and this is the best city in the world. So yeah, man, that's all really I got to say about that. I mean, we actually had Will Kuntz on Monday, and he talked to us a little bit about the Galaxy's outreach efforts and what it meant to the Galaxy to be able to hook up a G that lost his home and his family with a bunch of Galaxy gear and stuff like that, a lot of those memories won't be replaced, but at least those G's are rocking some fresh gear. And like I said, we had Will on Monday. So if right now you are feeling the sense of dread about this off season, you don't know what the Galaxy are doing, you're like, what is going on? Well, the man himself was here to talk about the transfer window and all the challenges the Galaxy are facing. So go ahead and check out that episode on the back catalog.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, it was a really informative episode. Every time we have Will on, I mean, he's more than gracious. Yes,
Yeah,
Papa?
I know you don't like listening to yourself, so you don't listen to these episodes on repeat. But I'll tell you what, I listened to it the other day. There was a couple of things that I didn't pick up on the first or the second time, right? Like, and things are starting to come to light, especially as we see these moves now moving forward. He talked about the fact that we didn't have any more roster spots available unless something happened, right? And then we had to pivot it. So, like, these little things, these little nuggets of information, guys, if you have not dropped or if you've not listened to the Monday drop, the episode drop and the interview with Will Kuntz, highly, I mean, you could just discard the rest of the episode. Doesn't care. You won't hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
Listen to
just us.
It's just us two knuckleheads. But just listen to, I think the interview starts at about 10 minutes in, and it's about a 20-minute interview. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that. And yeah, again, anything that you guys took out of that, go ahead and leave it in the comments of either this video or that video, and we'll be sure to respond.
Speaking of, some of these back catalog episode and we did have last year on the show a man by the name of Tommy Bogert. You guys might know him, the Stash himself. I call him the good hair, the Gambit with the good hair. Soccer Wise is now the #1 soccer podcast in the country. So congratulations to Tommy and to Mr. Gas over there, Sue, that have been doing it real big. So something to work towards, and I know that's the gold standard right now, man. So shout out to them. But speaking of podcasts and stuff like that, Ananda's going to be a guest on the Designated Players podcast on Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. So go ahead and check out that Designated Players podcast. Ananda's going to be doing an LA Galaxy 2025 season preview with the Designated Players podcast on Monday at 7 p.m. And just after that, of course, we're going to be back with you guys on Monday night at 9. Hernan from We Are Austin TV will be joining us that night to help us preview the first game of the CVI, which is just a couple of days away. And he's going to be here to assess Austin's prospects for the season and talk about this amazing transfer window that they're having. So I'm looking forward to that one, man. And of course, you guys see him with Dieguito right there, right?
Hey, game recognized game, man. Those guys, those cats are doing it big in Austin. They've been doing it since the first season of inauguration, Robert. So big up to Hernan and his team, all those boys from We Are Austin TV, Top Flight Pod, man. Can't wait to have the homie El Hermano on Monday.
Yeah, man. We have a comment here by Andrew H. He says, I remember hearing that part, not thinking a ton of it. In hindsight, it feels so obvious he was headed towards something. You know what? With Will, I'm starting to realize like he's very intentional about what he's saying. Like he's not just speaking to speak, man. I mean, it's like like everything is man, the guy's brilliant, really. Like I'm just every time we speak to him, I'm just like, wow, floored by his knowledge and everything he's saying. And yeah, like I said, in hindsight, yeah, it does feel like he was hinting towards something, and we should have picked up on it there and been like, well, what do you mean? Like who could leave? But he was in good flow. But yeah, way to pick up on that, Andrew. Just like you said. I mean, if somebody's coming in, somebody's going out, and we might see that happen. But anyway, we'll get there, guys. Let me go ahead and run you through some announcements and shout outs and stuff like that. Before I do, Ananda's got to do his thing. There we go.
I'm gonna do my
forgot.
Hey, I'm gonna
forgot. Come on.
I'm gonna do my thing, but you know what? We've already plugged this thing to death, man. So you guys know what to do. Subscribe to the show. It's a Race to 500. Like, share to your elotero, the guy that owns a bodega around the corner. Anyone, man, like anyone, your carpool, whoever, just, hit them up and share the love, especially if they want to listen to soccer and two knuckleheads talk about LA Galaxy. And of course, papá, como siempre, antes de olvidarme, buenos días, tardes o noches y bienvenidos a otro capítulo de la Cula Galaxiana. ¿Qué número es, papá? Número es 166, papá.
166, man. Three seasons in, not canceled. I think we're doing okay. Well, let's get into these shout outs and announcements. We got a couple of them to go through. Happy Lunar New Year. That, from the Galaxy and from La Cuna Galaxiana. Welcome to the Year of the Snake, and to commemorate the Year of the Snake, the LA Galaxy Lunar New Year collection is out now at the LA Galaxy team store. So go ahead and check that out. These are pretty fire, man, especially that t-shirt. I'm digging it pretty hard. So get yourself to the LA Galaxy team store, pick one up for yourself. Pick one up for me and Ananda as well. We won't be mad at you. And send it to Lacuna Studios. We'll be here. But yeah, man, happy Lunar New Year. And keeping with the celebration theme, there is the 6-star celebration happening just very soon here on February 2nd at Yamava Hotel and Casino. You'll get to enjoy a player meet and greet with John McCarthy and Edwin Cerrillo, live music, photo ops with Cosmo, and take home 2024 championship swag. Again, that's happening on Sunday, February 2nd at 3 p.m. at Aces Bar at Yamava Hotel and Casino. The event costs $35. Go ahead and hit up Galaxy Socials for more info on that. If you are looking to spend a little money there with a true G, man, you can't do any better than picking up the homie Bruce Martin's book, aka Mayo. Man, this one looks pretty fire, Ananda. It's 121 pages / 165 photos of just pure Galaxy awesomeness in the stands, on the field. I mean, fans doing their things, man. So if you want that authentic experience, if you want to feel like you were there, pick up Bruce's book. This one goes for $60, and yeah, I'm sure you can go ahead and hit him up on his socials. And before I forget, Ananda, this one wasn't here in the announcements that you know of, but we got a special request by our good friend El Arquitecto Verbal, who you heard at the top of the show with that Fire song, hopefully version 3 for season 3 coming soon. But he's about to drop a record, so go ahead and hit up his socials to go ahead and put a pre-order in for that vinyl. That's Arquitecto's new music, dropping that vinyl. So go ahead and hit his socials up for more info. We do have Naranja Dulce shop also dropping some heat. We have El Más Grande t-shirt. This is all 6 trophies, all 6 titles your LA Galaxy have won. Go ahead and pick this up at shopnaranjadulce.com. And, since we're on Galaxy Creators right here, the next blue, white, and gold pop-up has been announced by the Ñaños from 1-2 Threads. That's happening on March 2nd at Common Space Brewery from 12 to 5 p.m. Ananda, I know that you're a recent dog dad, so I know you care that this is a pet-friendly event. It's all ages event. It's a free event, so go out there and hang out with your fellow G's, especially because there's going to be a watch party that day. The G's will be playing Vancouver, and they will be showing it at 2 p.m. at the Blue, White, and Gold pop-up. So go ahead and check that one out, guys. Now let's get into some. Let's get into some cheddar, man. Let's get into some ducats. The Galaxy is now one of the most valuable MLS franchises. This was announced by Sportico today in an article, and really good article, by the way. They are in 3rd place in MLS after LAFC and Inter Miami. The Galaxy is valued at $1.11 billion, up 13% from last year. Cobi Cosmo's in the background going crazy, like, how is LAFC in 1st place? You know what? Sportico, go ahead and read that article, and they'll break it down for you. Really interesting notes on this, Ananda. Now in MLS, the average team value is $721 million, up 6% from last year. So all these teams are gaining in value here. 6 teams went up more than 10% in valuation. 12 teams went up from 0 to 3%, which means 18 teams increased in value. In the league now, 5 teams are valued at $1 billion plus. So you have some billion-dollar clubs in here, man. League average is up 31% since 2021. So these teams are getting richer. Don Garber is probably pleased as punch to see these numbers right here. Collectively, the 29 teams in MLS, that's San Diego FC, are worth $20.8 billion, including real estate and team-related businesses. So, and like I said, that does not include San Diego FC and not. Does anything on here surprise you that you see?
I think the teams are on there, pretty big market teams. Nothing surprises me. I think the only thing that I think of, I definitely have to read the report in terms of, the things that
It's a really good
they
article.
are putting the assets that make up this valuation, right? I think what's positive is that, because of the collective bargaining, because of the way MLS was set up in terms of franchises, there's no teams collapsing or going under, right? There's no more the threat of the story of the New York Cosmos, for example, and teams folding. I think it sounds like
or the Tampa Bay Mutiny. I mean, like,
yeah, it's
so at the beginning of the beginning of MLS's life,
So in that sense, it looks like MLS is in a healthy financial state, which is a positive. I think the flip side though is how do they go from here? How do they springboard? I do want to kind of bring that up a little bit later because I think a lot of the roster rules and things like that. I think there's more to go. There's definitely more to go. But at least it seems like, at least financially, if you're looking in that facet of the game, it's coming from a good financial, healthy place.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about money and what money means in the league and how it's spent and stuff like that. In light of the Dejan news, it's going to be one of those things where you might be just kind of like upset after we talk about it and after you hear what the Galaxy is going through and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But with all the money that the league is making, right? There was a recent announcement that now announcers are going to be calling some games remotely. So with reporting by Jonathan Tannenwald, he says MLS exec Seth Bacon confirms yes, announcers will call games remotely this year. He makes the case it's no different. He puts in parentheses, he knows I and many viewers disagree. I wholeheartedly agree with Jonathan Tannenwald. It is not the same. And then he says, to be clear, only some games will be called remotely this year, not all of them. Seems that most will still be done on site. But to also be clear, this will save MLS money, and they'll just hope there are no close offside goals or whatnot that you'd get right by being in the building. And I just got to say, man, this is the wrong move. You have to have announcers in the building. I mean, if you want to be taken seriously as a league, you have to have these announcers in the building, man. I mean, and then if you don't, like I tweeted out, then if this is the MO, if this is the way it's going to be, if this is the operating procedure, then there's absolutely no reason that Joe Tutino can't be calling these LA Galaxy games. If this is the way it's going to be, you can't have it both ways where you're going to just bring in some announcers that have never really called Galaxy games. And believe me, that's something that I complained to Ananda about a ton last year. And then, not give an option to have, Joe Tutino. So anyway, I hope this doesn't really become like the standard. We're going to be checking into this, but yeah, hopefully these announcers are in the building. It was wonderful being able to meet Chelo Balboa last year, walking the hall right next to Taylor Twellman. These guys are in the building because they know that it feels different in the building. So anyway,
yeah.
Hopefully they get it together.
Robert, real quick, going back to the valuation, from what you read in that report, because I just noticed it's behind a paywall. By the way, Pottermus, this is from Sportico, is the publication that did this valuation. I want to say, let me start answering this, and maybe you know better, but I want to say there's a few things. There's real estate, so in terms of stadium, right?
Exactly.
There is sponsorships. Do I guess valuations of players go into that as well? So
absolutely.
So all of that. I don't know if there's anything else, but those are the things that came top of mind.
It's a lot of different stuff. I mean, it's even up to and including like their academies. just a lot of different stuff that you wouldn't even think of. I mean, we learned the other day that
Merch.
bonuses, merch as well. A couple of these teams have legitimate, like studios, like media studios, just like the Galaxy does. They opened theirs last year. So there's things like that, So there's things that you wouldn't even think of, like the Galaxy's media department, or not media department, but like their media studio, which is obviously housed somewhere that counts, man. So all this stuff goes into the valuation. And speaking of things that make a team valuable, their home is one of them. And so the Galaxy have made pains to go ahead and improve the digs experience right here. They have just finished laying the field there at the digs, and of course you guys can see these new seats have been included as well. At last check, most seats are in, save for the corner over there by Lars. So 138, as far as I know, your new seats are not in there, but I'm sure that they're coming. So we did have a couple questions about this on the last pod, how the stadium renovations are going, and you guys can go ahead and check these out a little bit closer.
Looks so sick, man. V block looks sick right there.
It does, man. It looks amazing. So I can't wait to actually see it in person. Hopefully, for a Lucas Sanabria unveiling here pretty soon, but we'll get there. Guys, there was US Open Cup news that dropped. We did share some with you on Monday, and just to go ahead and reinforce that, there was 16 MLS clubs and 10 MLS Next Pro clubs that are going to be participating in that tournament beginning of the round of 32. We did let you know that we were pretty sure that the Galaxy wasn't going to be taking part in that US Open Cup. That is now confirmed. The Galaxy representation there will be VCFC. They'll be taking part of that tournament. They are one of the teams, one of the 10 teams from MLS Next Pro taking part in the tournament. Of course, that now confirms that the Galaxy will take part in 4 competitions: the CONCACAF Champions Cup, Campeones Cup, MLS, and of course, the Leagues Cup. And speaking of the Leagues Cup, y'all ready for some? I mean, I think I don't even think I can say the word, man. I mean, this is like rhymes with duckery. This is like I spent a good amount of time on these new league rules because we get the press releases and stuff like that. So I'm reading this press release and I had to go through a couple of these points a couple of times, but we're going to do our best to give you our interpretation of the Leagues Cup new format. And then apologies if I get anything wrong here. We are going to go back to the drawing board, and if there is anything wrong, we'll go ahead and correct that. But so far, from what I understand, only 18 MLS teams will take part this year. The top 9 teams from each conference, or the teams that made the playoffs last year, plus San Diego FC, who will take Vancouver's place. So of course they're going to be participating in the Canadian Championship, so that's why they will not be participating in the Leagues Cup.
Right.
This will feature the first round will feature exclusively interleague matches between MLS and Liga MX, and that goes all the way through to the quarterfinals. So new this year, and again, bear with us here. New this year, this one's going to be played in 2 rounds, phase 1 and the knockout rounds. Phase 1 will feature 3 consecutive match dates per club to be played between July 29th and August 7th as MLS play pauses, and all 54 phase 1 matches will be played interleague, like we just mentioned. So if you're keeping track, that means between July 29th and August 7th, there will be 3 games for the LA Galaxy. So 3 games in 9 days, if I'm understanding that correctly.
Yep.
When MLS play resumes, most Leagues Cup knockout matches will be played midweek. So you'll be having that kind of Champions League feel where it's going to be on a Wednesday or a Thursday. So this is where it gets kind of interesting. Rankings will be based on a team's points in last year's table. And then Liga MX clubs will be based on the cumulative of the Clausura and Apertura tournaments, 34 matches in those. So Right now, the Galaxy is ranked 7th with 64 points. They are tied with LAFC. And then number 1 right there is Cruz Azul on 75 points. Then you get further into this. Teams are divided into East and West. Then they are divided into 3 different tiers.
Bruh.
From there. Right. I know. So first they're divided into East and West. Then they're divided into 3 tiers. From there, yeah, I know. I feel like I'm a kid who just got caught doing something, and then I'm explaining to my mom. But see, what had happened was okay. So teams divided into East and West, then divided into 3 tiers. From there, 6 sets will be formed to facilitate Phase 1 play. 3 sets in the East, 3 sets in the West. Each set will include 6 clubs, 1 MLS club, and 1 Liga MX club for each of the tiers, tier 1, 2, and 3. Each club will then play 3 matches against the 3 opponents from the opposite league within their set in the first round. The crazy thing here is that there's no cumulative table. MLS has their own table, and Liga MX has their own table as well. So
It's wild.
It's dare I say, ridiculous. Yeah. GCam says my aneurysm had an aneurysm reading those rules. Like, imagine me, man. I just learned how to read, and I got to go
Rob,
through this,
that's
man.
some absolute duckery, man. Absolute duckery.
That is some absolute duckery, man. I just learned how to read, and they're throwing this at me,
Potter said the person was on some stuff working out Leagues Cup.
I gotta find that plug, bro.
Anthony said you divide that by pi, and then you multiply that by 2.24, and then
you carry the 1.
Yeah, and then connect it to the hip bone that's connected to the collarbone and all that.
Exactly. So when you get all of that, guys, you have the first and second phases of the Leagues Cup. Again, when we get there, we'll go ahead and get into this again. We'll go ahead and talk about how this is broken down.
I mean, do they want to diminish the relevance of Leagues Cup
I don't even
even
think
more?
they like it, honestly. Like I think it's like, how can we mess this up even further? I think that they
see. I thought so. Like the new Champions League format, Rob. I don't know if you've been paying attention to it, but like
I have.
So I thought it was going to be the same amount of fit duckery, I guess you would say, but man, it's actually turned out pretty good. You saw what was that one? I think the MLS admin Chris Tucker. I saw Chris Tucker repost, which was
that
fire.
Was great.
It was classic.
It was great.
And basically, it was one of the best posts the MLS admins ever put out there. Which is like,
sure.
You mean decision day? Like that.
Yeah.
So that was amazing. So I think in their case, it was a gamble, but I think it made sense and it created a lot of jeopardy. In this case, I don't see how this creates any jeopardy whatsoever. At this point, it's like, who cares, right? It's not a storied competition like European Cup / Champions League. So,
or the U.S. Open Cup, which there was some chatter about that. Some people brought up that it's the first time in that iteration that the champion doesn't get to defend their title. So LAFC is not in that tournament, and I know that no one wants to hear about the evil neighbors here, but they did win the tournament last year, and they're not going to be defending their title because now the rule is MLS clubs can only participate in 2 other tournaments besides MLS. So they will not be involved. Legacy clubs in the U.S. Open Cup that have won it a bunch of times, like Seattle Sounders, aren't going to be in it. The Galaxy not in it. I would take the U.S. Open Cup over the Leagues Cup any day, especially with these crazy rules, all this duckery. But there are some prizes up for grabs. They'll again award 3 spots in the Champions Cup for the top performers. Of course, the winner of the Champions Cup will represent the region at FIFA International Club competitions, unless you're Inter Miami, and then you just get given the berth by FIFA. Yes, I am still gonna harp on that. Anyway, this competition goes from July 29th to August 31st. In case you wanted to waste a month, there you go. The Leagues Cup, it is for you. Yeah, so that's the absolute duckery. That's the Leagues Cup. And on to anything to add on that one?
Moving on.
Let's move on. Let's move on to something
important. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, there he is, our good buddy Arquitecto Verbal. If you guys want to know more about that vinyl he's dropping, go ahead and hit him up. Go ahead and hit up his socials.
Yeah.
You're late, Papa. We let him know. We let the folk
Papa,
know.
if you want, go ahead and drop that link in the chat, man. Let everyone know. Let everyone know.
Yeah, so Studio says the points matter big time since only 4 of the 18 MLS teams advance. You're basically out if you don't get 8 or 9 points out of 3 matches. Yeah, so that's 2 wins and draw.
That's gnarly, man. That's gnarly.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
All right, well, the other big news out of LA Galaxy Landia, and this one is going to hit you in the feels, especially if you've been a long time LA Galaxy fan. Cobi Jones is getting a statue. Last pod, we did have some of you in chat let us know that there was rumors that Galaxy were announcing another statue. Well, they announced it pretty quickly after that. We even kind of speculated in chat who it was going to be. I personally thought it was going to be Robbie Keane. Anando, who did you say?
Yeah, I said Cobi. It was either him or Cobi. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I said King Kino, and I was wrong. You were right. Just like Studio said, praise be. Cobi is getting a statue. So in commemoration of the World Cup that happened here in 1994, Cobi Nagay Jones will be honored with a statue outside the digs in Legends Plaza in 2026. If you don't know this man's CV, let me put you on game. He played for the Galaxy for 12 blessed seasons, 306 MLS regular season matches played, 281 of those being starts. He scored 70 goals for the Galaxy, including the team's very first goal during their inaugural season with that assist by El Tanque, of course. He had 91 assists for the Galaxy in his career, played for the Galaxy 45 times in the playoffs with 6 goals and 13 assists. This man has the honors, 2-time MLS Cup champion 2002 and 2005, 2-time Supporter Shield champ in 98 and 2002, 2-time U.S. Open Cup champ 2001 and 2005, Champions Cup winner in 2000, 4-time MLS All-Star, MLS Best 11 in 1998, U.S. Soccer Athlete of the Year in 98, and he's the inaugural inductee in the LA Galaxy Ring of Honor alongside Mau Cienfuegos and the great Doug Hamilton. Let's get a little quote here from Tom Braun. We greatly look forward to honoring Cobi for his influence and impact on the LA Galaxy in Major League Soccer. This statue is a testament to the legacy Cobi built. His role in establishing the LA Galaxy as the league's most iconic and winningest club has made his name synonymous with their sport and our team. We can't wait to continue celebrating his leadership. Very, very much deserved. He is now the 3rd LA Galaxy player to receive the honor. In the wake of this news dropping, a bunch of LA Galaxy sporting legends came out and congratulated him. You had Landon Donovan, Magic Johnson, Dustin Brown, David Beckham, Luke Robitaille, all congratulating him on this award. Of course, internationally, Cobi Jones did his thing for the U.S. men's national team as well, 15 goals, and he holds the record for appearances at 165 for 165 caps. He's appeared in 3 World Cups. He was a Gold Cup winner in 2002, and he's in the Hall of Fame in 2011. And something that I kind of completely forgot about, he's also an owner in the VCFC and Angel City FC investment groups. Yep. I had the great honor of attending one of his chats last year, basically minority representation in sports and stuff like that. And one of the things that is always going to stick with me is that when he was asked what it means to him to be an owner, he basically said, when he got done playing, people were saying, Cobi, be a commentator, be a coach, do this and do that. But his heart was always striving to be in the boardroom, to be an executive, to be an owner. And he did it. He did it. And he encouraged every person there to go ahead and strive for that as well, if that's what they wanted, to go ahead and take him as an example and see that, it is achievable to be a person of color and be in that executive role, be in that owner role. So Cobi Jones is the 3rd. So now we throw it to you, chat. We had a couple of guesses last time who it might be. Cobi's number 3. Who should be number 4? Who should get the next statue in Legends Plaza? Ananda, do you have an answer?
Oh man. Well, for me, I would love to see. I mean, I know you talked about King Kino, but man, I'd love to give it to Joe T. Joe T, man. Yeah, like kind of like move it away from the player, like a player statue,
this guy right here.
and someone like Chick Hearn's got a statue right in front of
Yep.
Staples or in front of Crypto. Does Bob Miller have something? I'm trying to think. Could be wrong about this, but anyways, like legendary broadcaster, I might be time, man. It might be time.
I would love it if it were. And then, like I said, if it's not Joe T, Don Raul 96.
That'd be dope.
And
but yeah, and King Kino. If it's a player, yeah, King Kino for sure. Hey Rob, real quick before we get off of this, so this was Cobi was unfortunately past my time, right? He was. I followed the team probably in his last year when Beckham came in the team. That's when I really started, supporting and really paying attention to the LA Galaxy. But looking back at it, like from a journalistic lens, when you look back at this, I think it's interesting because I just saw a documentary around the 1989 Arsenal team and Ian Wright specifically, right? And his impact on culture, specifically around this idea of like being black and being cool. Do you see that type of impact, or did you see that type of impact with Cobi Jones, you think, at that time?
Oh, all day.
Especially with the dreads and like the style and the swag.
All day.
Right? That's what I kind of liken it to.
Yeah, no, all day. Like, I mean, especially. Okay, well, first I'll take it from like the Galaxy lens. I mean,
yeah.
He's a California boy. He's a Los Angeles boy. I mean, he is out there representing the Galaxy, and he's doing it with swagger and confidence. I mean, you can even see it in this picture here on screen. I mean, he's looking at that camera like, yeah, I know what's up, like, and I love that confidence, and he played with that confidence as well. And then with the U.S. men's national team, with a team full of John Harkses and
Ronaldo's
and Ronaldo's and stuff like that, who were fine players, but I excuse the term, but very vanilla, just like close cropped hair and stuff like that. Cobi was the outlier, man. He was the one that you could gravitate towards and be like, oh man, that is Mr. Cool right there. Like I said, the amount of swagger and confidence that I've always seen that man walk with is amazing. And not only that, it's great to be able to walk the same halls with them there at the dig. So congratulations to him. It is much deserved. I feel kind of sheepish that the other day when we were kind of like voting for who it could be, I didn't automatically think of him as one of my candidates. But yeah, man, he's, like Tom Braun said, synonymous with the Galaxy. So right. Well deserved honor for him, and hopefully, just like with Landon's unveiling, I get to be there and take a bunch of pictures and stuff like that. But congratulations, Cobi. Man, you deserve all the best, guys. I hope that you guys haven't gone out and purchased these jerseys with player names and numbers this year. A, because some Galaxy players are outgoing, but B, because some Galaxy players are changing their numbers. So Novak Mikovic is now number 1. Edwin Cerrillo is now number 6. Isaiah Parente is now number 16. And then you have the new arrivals with Zanka at number 5. You have Marcinkowski wearing the number 12 jersey. Elijah Winder is wearing the number 22 jersey. And Sean Davis is number 25. Thank you to Zero Cool, Chris Tucker, who has the facts. If you ever want to know, like, hey, how many Ghanaian players have we had? That's the man to ask, is Chris Tucker. Zero Cool, thank you once again for that info. And since we have jersey number changes, this is pretty much how it breaks down here on this CONCACAF Champions Cup roster release. So you have Mikovic right there at the very top, starting with his number 1 jersey. So this is going to be the official roster for the Champions Cup. There were some freakouts earlier because Ricky Puig was not on this roster. We are going to remind you that he most likely will not see any of this tournament because of his injury. Ananda, one of the things that I hadn't picked, well, I had picked up on it, but I just been kind of ruminating over it. I was estimating that Ricky was going to be back in August, or starting to make his way back in August. And the other day, Greg mentioned something about October. So it's really a crapshoot to see how much of the season he actually gets. I was being optimistic. Apparently, Greg Vanny's apparently expecting more along the lines of October. But anyway, the Galaxy's first Champions Cup match is on March 5th, and they will play the winner of Real Salt Lake in Herediano. Hopefully, for their sake, they get to stay here in country and not travel too much. But a man that will be instrumental in those hopes is new Galaxy signing Lucas Sanabria. Club Nacional de Uruguay posted, making it official, basically, posted gracias on their socials. They did say that they had agreed a fee and a transfer for Lucas Sanabria to the Galaxy. They announced the deal as $5 million with $1.8 million in bonuses. Those are performance related with a 20% sell-on clause. He was pictured in the airport, and he was pictured on a plane to the United States. So that seems to confirm it. And then there was, besides these pictures, just the confirmations all over Uruguay that he was leaving. So, Ananda, now that Sanabria is basically official, no official announcement from the Galaxy, by the way. And I love this one because Diego Polenta at Nacional as well had to have played agent in some way, shape, or form to kind of maybe get this one over the line, or let him know, hey, the Galaxy's a good club to go to. But I love the fact that they use Nacional this picture. But anyway, now that Sanabria is in, Ananda, show us a depth chart. Like, how are you thinking that this lineup is shaping up?
Well, if you look at the midfield, right, let's just focus on the midfield because that is the position in question. I mean, you've got right now, what I've put on the depth chart does not include, by the way, guys, asterisk, does not include your academy players, your homegrown players, etc. None of the young, sort of the young guys trying to break into the first team. So you've got Royce, of course, Ricky Puig. We're not going to have him 2/3. It looks like it maybe even until October, right? Sanabria and Winder, Cerrillo, and Davis at the 6. So those are the midfielders that we're rolling with, Rob. And so, I mean, shoot, like, how do you feel about that midfield coming to the season?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, my big question mark is about Marco Royce and whether he can stay healthy enough to, contribute consistently. And then, the flip side of that is that whenever you do get Ricky back,
it's like a new signing.
Yeah, he's like a new signing. And you heard Will Kuntz say it on Monday, so that is the flip side. But if they can get to Ricky time, basically, with these midfielders and get within the top 4, then, they're in a good shape. Where questions start to abound is the forward line, but we'll get there. We'll get there, chat. Don't you fret. So anyway, like I said, Ricky's absence is going to make Marco Royce, play a much bigger role this season. So he's going to have to justify his price tag and basically all the things that his signing carries. Yeah, Ananda, what else are you seeing? What other midfield worries or questions do you have on this?
Well, I'm going to address Scott's concerns. I guess he says he's stressing out the season, Rob, and he's more worried about goal production. Good point, Scott. And what I'm going to add to that is, but remember, we've got to have good service to even get into those positions of goal production, right? And where does that come from? The midfield. Rob's always said it on many occasions when we're doing our previews, when we're doing our predictions. He always talks about the midfield battle. The midfield battle is where the game mostly is won and lost. And so the midfield's really important, right? Even within goal production. It's true that you need someone on the end of him finishing. You need a confident clinical striker. But if you've got wingers like us, right, that's half the battle, right? But then you've got to get the production and the sort of creativity and the engine behind that. And that's when the midfield comes in. So, if you think about like for example, I think about like Diego, for example. We've seen him play in that midfield position, Rob. We've seen him play out in the wing. Where is he going to be deployed? Is he going to be deployed as a number 10, sharing that position with Royce until Ricky comes back? Or is he going to be a depth piece off the wing, right? That'll be interesting. Can Sean Davis give you the same experience and quality as Gaston Brugman, who we lost? Feels like that's sort of a like for like there in that number 6 position. You talked to Sean Davis and as well as your colleagues at Media Day. He sees himself mostly as a 6, can play in a double pivot, right? So we'll see we'll see against certain oppositions how that's gonna look. But his skill set's slightly different than Gaston, so let's see how we can replace him there. But that is a worry, that is a concern, that is a question mark, right? The other thing is, can Sanabria and Winder give you the ground cover and make winning plays like Delgado? Let's face it, guys, Delgado is a huge loss, right? He was a huge part of this team. He was a bona fide starter. So now the question is, can these two guys come in and give you that same type of production? TBD, ... right? And then, of course, go ahead.
Time out. Did you see that? Again, I know no one wants to hear about LAFC here in on this pod, but they did something the other day where they gave the players like access to the socials, right? And the players were tweeting, and it was hilarious because everybody else was tweeting like a bunch of stuff and or like like messages to their fans, and all Mark Delgado said was, "Yo."
That's Mark. That's him. That's him, man. That was him. That was him last year. All last year.
But I loved it because it was like, yeah, I don't mess with y'all. I'm just here because it's a work thing. So anyway, I loved it. So sorry to throw you off.
He's also not a talker. He's a very from all the pressers and stuff, like he seems like a very like introverted type of person. That's just his personality.
He speaks when he has to,
right. That's what I mean. Yeah.
And so yeah, it was just funny to me, like, yo, and that was it. But anyway, sorry to interrupt there.
Well, no, I was gonna say the only last point I had was, again, and this is something that we're gonna look forward to, that you and I.
Oh, that's a shot for you.
And I was gonna that one's for GCam, man. GCam, go ahead. But no, like, to see at the CVI, right, to see if any of the young players trying to break into that first team, Tucker Lepley, Isaiah Parente, there's a couple guys in there that are trying to break in that first team. So not only that, but is there anyone who is going to take that leap, Rob? Last year, we saw Serio take a massive leap from when we first signed him to when we saw him at the CVI. And I told you he was going to be my breakout player of the year because just the way he played, man, his composure, just everything. Are we going to see someone? Am I going to see that same signal from someone that's trying to break in that first team, or that's going to take that massive leap? Those are my big question marks heading into 2025 for this midfield.
I'm choosing Winder, man. I think
I'm excited to see him play.
Yeah, just based on the stats, just based on everything I'm hearing from Louisville fans, this guy's a player, man. This guy's a stud.
Can I throw one in there as well? Let's not forget, Will Kuntz called out Ruben Ramos Jr. I'm gonna pay closer attention to him now because he called him out. He must see something in this kid.
Oh yeah, all day. And you got to remember that, like, he's only 17 or might be 18 now. He might have turned 18, but
something like that.
The team obviously loves Ruben Ramos as well. During the championship celebrations, there was, the bigger personalities in the dressing room, like the bigger names were out there and having fun. And at one point they noticed that Ruben Ramos was kind of just like, hanging out and stuff like that. So they all together just were like, Ruben, and they brought him into the middle, and then they made him chug beers. What were the beers? I don't know. Maybe there were ciders, because he's like 17 or 18. Who knows? But they definitely made sure to include him. So he is definitely a part of this team, and I can't wait to see what he does in year 2. If Will's calling him out, is because, like you said, he sees something in him. And it might be that Ruben Ramos Jr. is going to be playing an even bigger role this year for the Galaxy, especially in light of this next news. Most of you guys have already heard this already, but if you've been living under a rock, per Tom Bogert, Tigres from Liga MX made a substantial bid for Dejan Joveljic. Per at Arath UV, this one broke a couple of days ago, and since it broke, Galaxy fans have been in meltdown. First about the potential sale, and then with the reported transfer fee, which is reportedly just $5 million. Other reputable sources have not put a price on the bid yet, however, so it remains to be seen if this $5 million is legit. Personally, I was thinking if he did leave, and this is something that fell on our radar because the podfather over at Corner of the Galaxy spoke about this and how difficult it would be to keep Dejan with the current financial troubles that the Galaxy is going through, and it looks like it's coming to pass that he might not be here for the Galaxy this year. Of course, one of the things that Tommy Bogert spoke about is that Tigres can reportedly triple or quadruple his salary, which the Galaxy can't do because they do not have an open DP spot to offer him. So Dejan would be getting the bag, man. He'd be getting paid, right? Of course, he's on the last year of his deal where he's owed $683,000. He did just graduate from the U22 initiative, so that means that salary is counted against the cap heavy, right? So if the Galaxy is, trying to navigate these financial rules, this is one of the reasons this sale happens, is because he's now counting against the cap pretty heavy. Of course, last season he was one of the studs of the team, 21 goals and 7 assists across 33 appearances, 6 goals and 2 assists when it counted in the playoffs, including the game-winning goals in the Western Conference Final and MLS Cup. The man who dubbed himself the future of the Galaxy is now reportedly on his way out. There was a G in one of those Facebook group chats. He landed in LA today with his family, and he specifically wanted to go to the digs to see these players train. He was lucky enough to get a picture with him and his family and Dejan, and made a point to ask Dejan point blank, what's up with you to Tigres? And Dejan told him that it might happen, but that he hasn't made a decision. And so right now there's nothing doing. He was in training today. There was a G that asked him straight up, and he said, hey, it might happen, but I haven't made a decision yet. So for the moment, Dejan is not gone, despite reports from Mexico that this deal has already been signed, and he's signed, sealed, and delivered for Tigres coach Veljko Paunovic. And speaking of Tigres' coach, Paunovic has that nationality connection, Papa. He is a Serbian coach. He has coached in MLS with Chicago Fire. Of course, before Tigres, he was with Chivas de Guadalajara, won a couple of titles there, and he might have some familiarity with Dejan because he spent time coaching Serbia's junior national teams. He did guide the U20 team to the 2015 FIFA World Cup title, and even though he didn't coach Dejan Joveljic, I'm sure he still has contacts in the national team setup that are letting him know, like, no, this guy's a good player. Dejan, of course, is on the fringes of the national team, but he has been there.
So after all that, I mean, you went down the gamut of information beautifully there. I mean,
thank you.
What do you think? I mean, what do you think? This kind of came out of nowhere, but had we actively listened better to Will Kuntz, we probably should have seen this happening, right?
Man, when he said it, I was like, okay, well, it's getting kind of close to the CVI. I don't think they let Dejan go at this point, but yes, we should have listened a little bit more actively. But yeah, man, this one is it's tough again because he is on that expiring contract, which means that for whatever reason, if the Galaxy don't sell him and he wants to leave for free next year,
could risk him losing for free. Correct.
Yeah, he can go. Yep. There's nothing that says that he has to re-sign with the Galaxy and then that they're going to be able to sell him later. No, this might be their only opportunity to get something for Dejan. They did spend $3.5 million for him with Frankfurt. So he's on an expiring contract. He's counting heavy against the salary cap, and so at that point you go, okay, is it better to lose him right now, get something in return, open up a little bit more space on the salary cap, give us a little bit more flexibility, or do you risk losing him for free next year because you're like, no, we need him? For me, it's kind of like I said with the Mark Delgado thing. You try to get something for him, right? Regarding the transfer fee, because when I tweeted about the transfer fee earlier, Galaxy fans were in a tizzy, man. They were like, no, that's not enough. That's, people were thinking, 15 million, which I didn't think that was going to happen, but I was definitely thinking between at least 8 and 10. So when we hear 5 million, we think the Galaxy is getting a little bit shortchanged. However, friend of the show, Miggy Gris, aka Mike Gray, he did say that Kukukaraskia, who kind of in a similar situation with his contract, did go for about that price as well.
5 mil.
About 5 mil as well.
Okay.
And of course, Liga MX is being shrewd. They know that it seems like they've figured out, like these players that are on expiring contracts, let's go after these cats, man. Like we can get these cats for a little bit cheaper, right? People are saying, how can they sell him for 5 million when he's valued at 6.5 million on transfer market? You got to remember, the Galaxy sold Delgado for 400K in GAM, and he was valued at 2 million on transfer market. So it's not necessarily representative of what the team is going to be able to sell him for. It's just what that player is valued for at the moment. Again, the Galaxy are kind of not stuck, but they're kind of hamstrung by what they can and cannot do based on this cap. If you're trying to go ahead and open up flexibility for yourself, then this is a move you make, because you can't let him go for free in a year.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is what I tweeted about specifically was just like all you said. The one thing I actually listened to Corner of the Galaxy before this, Rob, and one thing really important distinction that Josh made. At 5 million, he does not believe that you can transfer that money into GAM. So that's a huge distinction. So I think it's because I forgot the exact reasoning, but
run it back one more time.
So essentially, if we sold them for 5 million, because of some rules around recouping certain costs associated with that U22 player, that you could not convert that, because we're under the assumption you convert up to 3 million of that transferred fee into GAM, right? Josh is under the impression that can't happen. The fee would have to be higher, in the range of about 8 million ish or so, which is a wrinkle, which is an interesting wrinkle to this, right? So that's one of the, I guess, disadvantages or maybe a negative associated with this deal. But you're still getting 5 million in cash. By the way, 5 million in cash that you could use for an inter-league deal, right? One of the recent rules that MLS passed. So that's an interesting wrinkle there. But the other thing that I thought about too is just like, if you have a guy that is going to be disgruntled about his salary, that he wants to go, how much production are you really going to get out of him next year, right? Is it going to be all in, right? And with the harmony of this locker room and the team that Will Kuntz is trying to build, I think that's a really important factor, a soft factor. I think we have to play into this as well, man. So no, I think you bring up all the right moves there, or all the right points. I think you're right. A higher transfer fee would be good, but if 5 million was on the table and that was the best offer, I think I would take it at this point, man. Like I said, I think there's just a lot more downsides long term than there is a short term gain in my regard, in my point of view. And I feel like you can get a replacement. I feel like I trust our front office and our scouting network enough to get a replacement for this guy. And I think that's the thing that's making me a little bit more relaxed about the situation is Will Kuntz has not made me think otherwise, that we could not find a ready and able replacement. Like I said, on multiple shows, not on this podcast and multiple other podcasts, he has not put a foot wrong. He has hit on basically all of his signings, which is absolutely ridiculous, right? So he's not given me pause for concern in terms of the ability to recruit that replacement. You're going to say something?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you told us. I mean, they're at any moment able to pivot, because they are 2 or 3 windows ahead in the window. I mean, they're looking ahead, right? So I'm sure that this didn't come out of nowhere. I'm sure that there's been at least some kind of soft contact with Tigres in the past couple of weeks. So I'm sure that not only are the 2 or 3 windows ahead, but when this interest became concrete, it was like, okay, cool. we've already identified this player, this player, this player. Let's start contacting who we have to contact, because if Dejan does leave, then we can go ahead and bring these players in. And I have every faith that they have those players identified, and if this transfer is going to happen, that they are already working on bringing someone in as well. For people that are freaking out about it, it does suck. I'm not gonna hold you. It sucks hardcore, because this man did score the game winner in the final, in the Western Conference final. People are saying, how are you going to replace his goals? It's again, in Will I trust. I know he's going to be able to identify a couple of players, or a player that's going to be able to take up some of that load.
Because all LA Galaxy fans are like this right now. XPH brought it. I don't know if he's in the chat right now, but shout out XPH, man. Always bringing in the good opinions, the good takes here. But he's like, all Galaxy fans after Delgado, Gaston, Jalen, and maybe now Dejan, time to freak out. And then you guys had a really good exchange, man. I just wanted to shout it out, because you said, we talked about the thing about Will, and XPH said, for the right price, getting something in return for an expiring contract is a no-brainer to me. And you said, yeah, use the $3 million towards Gamma or cash purchase. And then I followed. So this is the stuff that we're talking about right now. I followed up over the top, and this is the interesting part, Robert. And I think this is where if this happens, like the look forward, like where do we go next? Which is, I feel like this is now, I mean, think about how we got Dejan. We got him on a U22. And the purpose of the U22 is to bringing a top type of talent at that age that doesn't hit so much against their salary cap, right? Up to 200,000. So, and I think Josh also echoes this sentiment as well, like listening to some of his remarks and comments around this is, we should be able to replace him with U22 type of talent, right? And like I said, going back to your earlier point that you just made, we should trust in Will Kuntz to find that U22 type of talent, so that, maybe he can at least contribute to the team in 10 to 15 goals is really, in this team, man, that's all the production that we're looking for on this team that has so much attacking firepower, right? 10 to 15 goals, and then he can work his way up into a seasoned veteran, in a couple of years. So, I was going to pull again, put this up as well. Josh said that's the idea, right? Sell and buy. And this is another thing about this is sell high and buy low, right? And I feel like maybe in the last couple of years, I think we as Galaxy fans have been disgruntled. Like, why are we not a well-run club that does this, right? Bring kids through the academy, have that academy pipeline, but also sell and buy at the right moments, right? And we've been clamoring for this. And now it's interesting that when these moment comes, like we're all in a stage of panic and frenzy. Maybe it's because we're uneasy of moving on, and this is just how the way the league works right now. But I think this is something we got to get used to, guys. We've got to get used to this, guys.
Yeah, change is scary, man. It's yes, he did score the goal in the final, and emotionally, everyone's gonna remember that how they felt, right? But simply put, the Galaxy can't pay him what he wants or what he believes he's earned. And if he can go quadruple the bag, like, I'm not gonna be mad at him. If he does decide, like, yeah, I'm gonna my future's away from the Galaxy, because apparently, according to what Gonzalo that was out there said, he hasn't made a decision. Who knows? Maybe he has. He just was kind of pacifying Gonzalo a little bit. But I want to address a couple of things here in chat. First, Studio says, has anyone seen Gino Vivi play? I don't understand why we are letting Saprissa extend the loan, or are they buying him? Studio, Saprissa, it does have a hard date to decide on whether or not they are buying Gino Vivi. I believe it's July something. I'll go ahead and check that out. We did talk about that on a previous pod, but yes, they are under obligation to make a decision on whether or not they are buying Gino Vivi. And then maybe Ann says, is the third U22 still tied to having a young DP? I thought that got changed last season. You are right. That did get changed. It is not tied. The U22 is not tied to the young DP anymore. Anyway, Nanda, sorry for cutting off.
No. That this is good. I think it's important to. I'm starring some of these as well, just so that we can go back to some of these points as we wrap up this conversation. But chat, I want to throw this out to you. So if this deal does happen, what do you guys think? Do you guys have any ideas for replacements?
And most likely happening,
right? So again, a couple things to keep in mind on this. I think it's interesting because I've seen a lot of different takes on the various platforms, etc. Around, Do we replace him with what I think this is my opinion, which is a U22 younger signing, right? Would be exciting to see. We'd have a really, really nice young core of attacking power. Or do we go older, right? Do we go older, experienced veteran? And then the other thing is, do we have options within the league that we sort of over-index the familiarity with the league and the way to the ability to play in MLS? Or do we go outside of the league, right? Those are a couple of considerations that I had. Rob, do you have any ideas, any thoughts?
To be honest,
anything that comes to mind?
To be honest, no. It's
real quick. This is a good one. This is a good one.
Oh, that's
Brian White.
That's a great one.
We've talked about that. He has it's a like for like salary, right? Very, very similar salary structures. The only thing about Brian White is I don't know what his contract situation is exactly. So that's something I'd have to look into. And then his age, not sure. I think he's mid-20s. I'm not sure. I have to look that one up. But Rob,
a goal or two. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, he had a good season. I would say the year before last season, he had a great season. But he's been a really solid goal producer, man. But I think it's that salary is kind of interesting. Look, I think let me throw out a couple names at you, Rob, and maybe Big Sam Adeniran. I think his
I don't hate that either.
His salary last year, I believe, I'm just trying to look this up right now. Again, I don't know his 2025 salary, but he was at 100K last year, Rob. 100K, right? So that's an interesting one. And the other one that I'm gonna throw out to you is Big Pat Agmayang from Charlotte. And again, so I think I love his age, but more so I love the profiles. I love a big, strong physical forward that has mobility. And I think in this LA Galaxy team, you just got to be at the right positions. You got to get in front of your man. You got to get in that 6-yard box. That's all you need to do, right?
Because you're going to get service by the wings.
If you get service, you're going to get service, whether it's from Ricky, Marco Royce, the wings, like you said, you're going to get service. So all you got to do is just put your big body in there and get in front of that net, right? That's all you got to do. You're going to score a lot of tap-ins. But I really, really like that profile. But man, like I'm really liking these U22s, man. I feel like we could just get really, really high value for money. And guys, I'm going to throw this out there. And this is, there's a name attached to this, but I'm not trying to spread any rumors, not trying to spread any chisme. Like,
let's put that out there and let's be clear. This is not a rumor at all. This is just Ananda being proactive and, doing a little scouting for the Galaxy scouting team.
Yeah. I don't want to like put my name out there and like, I'm not wedded to this. I'm just looking at profile. Right. And a guy that came up that when I was doing my research, this guy's interesting, but I want you guys to focus on profile more so than the actual name itself. There's a guy by the name of, this is going to be fun, Robert, Ransford Koningsdorfer.
Koningsdorfer.
Who is he plays in the Bundesliga 2, so that's the second division in Germany. The reason why I came across him is because he is a national teammate of Joseph Paintsel. Robert, currently plays for Ghana, but he has dual citizenship with Ghana and I believe Germany, but right now he's playing for the Ghanaian national team. But man, look at those stats, bro. 18 appearances, 9 goals, 1 assist in a second division league. His market value right now is at $3 million. Look at his age. Born September 13th, 2001. He is 23, which means we would have him for 3 years before he quote unquote graduates right out of that U22 designation. And he is familiar with Joseph Paintsel. Again, I don't want you guys to focus on the name, but I want you guys to focus on the profile.
He has my birthday.
Oh,
let's sign him up. Yeah, let's sign him up. I'm already invested in him. And worst comes to worst, Galaxy can't find a striker. I'll do it. Like for a couple of after Papusas, I'll go ahead and lace him up once again. But yeah, no, I mean, Ananda did send me a video of Koningsdorfer, and yeah, he balls, man. You're right. This is the type of forward that would do really well in the Greg Vanney system, getting service from the wings. So yeah, I'm not hating on these ideas, man. I'm not even hating on the in league ideas. I mean, Big Sam, Big Pat, they're both good physical strikers. Like
Kelvin Yeboah, studio put that out there. Yeboah,
yeah. I mean, Yeboah is a good fast striker. I mean, he's gonna get you goals as well. So the problem is that, like, again, where are these gentlemen at, where their contracts and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
it's gonna be interesting if Dejan does leave and then the Galaxy don't bring in anybody immediately. The sense of dread and sense of just worry is going to build exponentially, like week over week, especially as we get to the season opener.
Yeah, and one of the things that to round off this conversation, I started this comment because I think it's really important. Potterman says it's stupid MLS rules that you have to move your players to balance the books, and so that's one of the things, right? I hope that this isn't 100% a math problem. Like I felt like coming out of that Will Kuntz interview, Rob, that we didn't have any more math problems, and maybe this is more like an opportunity or something that was lingering out there where Will Kuntz said we had to pivot. So I think that the bigger thing though, it's so frustrating to keep losing these players to other leagues, and to echo Pottermus's sentiments there. You know, we saw a very similar situation with Bogus at Cruz Azul, right? And he went there because, you know, LAFC didn't have any DP slots to offer him. And now the same is happening with Decky. So, you know, Rob, I remember last episode, you brought up the fact that MLS is the fourth highest spending league, right? But what good is that spending if you can't spend that money in wages because of stupid MLS roster rules? And this is the problem, right?
Yeah.
Like this is the problem.
Great.
Like, how are you going to elevate yourself into a top league when you have these constrictions? Yes, I agree that we're trying to keep parity in the league, that it's good for the league, good competitiveness. We don't want any teams to go under, blah, 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 blah. But I think you've got to expand the rules, man. You got to add either a fourth or fifth DP, because you're going to lose players to a competing league, by the way, in terms of, you know, mind share and viewers, right? And Liga MX, who doesn't really have a salary cap, right? And this trend is going to continue to happen. So from an MLS Pro point of view, it's very frustrating, very, very frustrating.
Yeah, I was speaking with a couple G's about this, and I did let them know, you know, like, well, they were like, why would they let him go? And I was like, well, I said they simply cannot pay him what you know he's asking for, or what he's owed. And then a G out there, Timoji Chalamet at Stringbean670 very correctly said, and there is a distinction here. It's not that they can't; it's that the league won't let them.
Right.
So they're, I mean, and they made the fact that it is a very important distinction, and it is. The Galaxy has the money to spend. I mean, if they wanted to, they could go out and you know, buy top European talent and throw them the bag. However, the league will not let that happen. So it is an important distinction. It's not that the Galaxy doesn't want to go out and be ambitious. It's that the league is quite literally hamstringing them. Like Will said in media day, they're getting punished for their success.
Yeah. Well, and then the last thing I want to say about that, let's put this in perspective, right, Rob? You've got people on the bench in top Premier League teams making £100,000 a week. You've got players on MLS making £100,000 or $100,000 a year. Like, and that's it, right? It's the wages. That's what's really holding this thing back. And so, yeah, it's from a pro MLS perspective, it's frustrating. And for Galaxy fans, for us, it's very frustrating that we can't keep these teams together, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. And, you know, we've already lost some fan favorites. Gaston Brugman, Jalen Neal, who is now out there in Montreal, and I've been following along to Galaxy Mom stories. They are experiencing that cold out there in Montreal. Of course, Mark Delgado, who we brought up earlier, and now it looks like it's about to be Dejan Joveljic. Like we mentioned, nothing is official. He was at training today, but this one increasingly looks likely, especially because the Galaxy is still up against the cap, and they're still trying to make moves to you know, to give themselves some wiggle room or give themselves some flexibility. Studio says crazy the window. Yeah, damn is right. Studio says crazy the window is open through April. Yeah, so that gives the Galaxy a little bit of time as well to, if Dejan does leave, to go ahead and bring someone in. But yeah, Dejan's going to be a big miss. Those 22 goals are going to be a big miss. Ananda?
Nah, man, that's it. Let's move on to the last segment and wrap this thing up.
Well, did want to bring up the fact that Eric Winalda does go into this a little bit in his and his new show Unleashed, which is on Goals TV. If you guys haven't caught it, go ahead and check it out. Eric Winalda, we didn't mention him earlier. He he's a very outspoken person, and he has basically what he thinks are the rules, or like his comments on the rules this year. So check that one on Unleashed. Of course, you guys can also find us on Goals TV too.
Yeah, I just watched that video, guys, and I highly recommended it. It was a good primer for me into thinking about why MLS is the way it is. He breaks down the history of, how the league was formed and the collective bargaining and all that stuff. So really, really, I think pertinent to this discussion as well, as to why we can't keep players like Dejan Joveljic, for example. So I highly recommend that video.
Remember, the cap is only 5.95 million. Unfortunately, and that's for everybody's. I did hear some grumbles out there for everybody unless you're Inter Miami. Well, no, they have to abide by it as well, guys. It just seems like they don't, but no, they abide by it as well. But anyway, guys, that pretty much wraps it up for us. We are now less than a week away from the first game of the Coachella Valley Invitational. That's going down on February 5th. The Galaxy's first game is against Austin at 11 a.m. You'll have a chance to check out Austin's new look forward line. If anybody is going to the CVI on that Wednesday, go ahead and drop me a line. I want to chat with you. Drop me a DM. Get into chat. Let us know if you're hitting that CVI on February 5th, on Wednesday the 5th for the first game. We did hear from Will Kuntz that he's looking forward to Ruben Ramos Jr., seeing him at the CVI. Chat, let us know who you're looking forward to seeing at the CVI, or which teams you're most looking forward to seeing at the CVI. We will be here with you guys doing our first game preview of the year on Monday, February 3rd with Hernan from We Are Austin TV. That's right, the very first game preview of the year, Galaxy versus Austin. That's one to look forward to, guys. Míralo. So on the 3rd, on Monday the 3rd, we'll have Hernan from We Are Austin TV here to help us break down that game, and we are looking forward to it. Like Ananda said, game recognized game. Those lads are doing fantastic work out there in Austin. Ananda, hit that last word, and then I'll take us home.
Oh man, just don't hit the panic button, guys. Yet I saw a comment in there. Don't hit the panic button. Believe in this team. Believe in this front office. Believe in Will Kuntz and his staff, and believe in Greg. Remember, Greg's a huge part of this. I feel like Greg is going to be the wild card this year in terms of how he puts his team together on the pitch, and how he prepares them, and how he develops. Right? Can we get more of those breakout performances, those breakout years like Edwin Cedillo last year? Have all the faith, because you know what? They didn't let me down this last year, and they've got credit in the bank, at least with me. So don't hit the panic button, guys.
Stay tuned. Keep the faith, or in other words, trust the process. Don't cancel us for that one. But anyway, keep the faith, guys. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being with us once again on another episode of La Cuna Galaxiana. It's wonderful always to be here with you and sharing time with you guys in chat. Thank you guys so much for sounding off as usual. If you're here, it's because you found us at youtube.com/@LaCunaGalaxiana. Put someone on. We are just a couple away from 450, and then man, it's just 50 away from 500. Get us to 500 before the season starts, and we'll love you forever. Like I said, see Ananda and he'll dance a little jig for you. He didn't commit to that, but I committed to that for him. So anyway, guys, thank you so much. Until we meet again on Monday, only one thing left to say here. LA strong, vamos campeones, and G's up. Tú y yo. Wow.